Good afternoon. I am architect Sujata Godbole. On behalf of Women's Education Society, Srimati Manoramabai Mundle College of Architecture, Nagpur, better known as LED Architecture, I welcome you all to this webinar series Jaitra Marching Ahead and launching of virtual exhibition of our academic work Pradnya Darpan. Webinar will be followed by question and answer session. I request all the participants to type their questions in chat box. Hope you all are doing well at your homes in this pandemic times. Our institution mission is to create an educational environment in which students are prepared to get the challenges of fast developing and changing world. Our institution is committed to the overall academic excellence and holistic development of students, and it is currently rated among top 30 institutes of India. As rightly said by our Honorable President, late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, excellence happens not by accident, it is a process. Keeping this in mind, we always try hard to widen students' knowledge base and give them exposure to various architectural issues by inviting architects for interaction and for workshops, guest lectures of experts from varied fields, site visits, and educational tours for experiential learning and various other activities. Today, we have with us young award-winning architect Abin Choudhary from Kolkata, to interact with us, and it is our privilege that he will inaugurate our academic exhibition, virtual academic exhibition. Abin Choudhary founded Abin Design Studio, which is exploring the unknown journey, experimentation with materials and technology, and the engaging art and culture, aiming to provide a soul in the shell. The studio is engaging design in the urban fabric and pre-urban age as a catalyst for deliberate change. His work focuses on the idea of holistic design, not just limiting to ideas, but also physical manifestation through multidisciplinary collaboration. His explorations intend to push the boundaries of thought, prevalent socio-cultural landscape, and spatial construct, challenging the role of architecture in the society by being unafraid of unfamiliar explorations. The studio is also the recipient of several national and international accolades. Now I request our principal, Dr. Ujjwala Chakradev. He is also the president of Maharashtra Association School of Architecture, that is MASA, to welcome our today's guest, architect Abin Choudhary. Chakradev, ma'am.
Thank you, Sujata ma'am. Namaskar. Namaskar to everyone, each and everyone. Our chief guest or the key speaker of today's webinar, architect Abin Choudhary, my team, Sujata Godbole madam, and her entire team who has been working for this, and most important, my students and the aspirant students who are going to attend, who are attending this webinar and trying to understand what architect does. You will have an excellent example as showcased by architect Abin Choudhary, where he would be showcasing his works, not only his work but his journey, and how he just now Sujata madam mentioned that he is not afraid of exploring untrodden paths, and that's what you all will also do when you become an architect, or even when you join as the architecture course. That's where actually every day is a different day in architecture schools. So it's wonderful, it's enjoyment, it's something different than what you have been doing all these years till 12th standard. So learning architecture is a pleasure, learning architecture is an amusement, and you just don't know how you have learned. We would be also showcasing the virtual exhibition of our students' work so that you get to know what sort of work these students of architecture do and what sort of ambience environment prevails. So I can go on, but time is reserved for our guest today, and you are going to learn much more from him. So I welcome you all once again on behalf of my school, on behalf of SMMCA, and I wish best wishes to all those who are attending. You are going to enjoy this hour, surely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Now I request architect Akansha Agarwala to talk about virtual exhibition of our academic work, Pradnya Darpan.
Thank you, Sujata ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Past few months have been unforeseen times for all of us. With the pandemic and the lockdown, I confess there have been moments of haze. But as a college, we simply refuse to give up. The key of life is accepting challenges and to keep growing and shining in spite of these challenges. So, after readjusting quickly, everything shifted to the online mode. I would like to play a small video which reiterates what I just said. So, what we just saw in the video, the mode has changed, not the mood. And talking of mood, the students have always been a resilient lot. Their energy is tremendous. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, you are clearly audible.
Yeah, okay. Nothing could deter them from giving only their best, whatever the mode be. Every year, we have elaborate display in a big exhibition hall where students' academic work is exhibited. The visitors appreciate the work and the juniors get inspired and learn from the display. This year we thought, why should the current situation stop us? Our principal madam initiated the idea that let us take this exhibition to the digital platform. Our students deserve it. It is with great pride that we have put up our first ever virtual exhibition displaying the academic work of our students, Pradnya Darpan, Radiating Self. I request our esteemed guest, architect Abin Choudhary, to inaugurate the exhibition virtually by announcing that it is open. Sir, if you can just say, I declare it open.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I declare this exhibition is now open. Thank you.
Sir, with your permission, I would like to quickly take you all through the web page and browse through some of the work. This will give an overview of the college design philosophy and the design progression for every year. So this is the home page for the exhibition Pradnya Darpan. If you scroll down, you will come to a small write-up which actually explains the concept and the thought behind the exhibition. And the video that you just saw is displayed here. If you scroll further down, you come to the courses offered by the college. We have a Bachelor's in Architecture course, which is a 5-year course, 10-semester course. The college also offers 2 postgraduate courses. One is Master's in Urban Design and the other is Master's in Architecture Education. You can click on these orange tabs that you see here to view the course prospects. If you scroll further down, you also come to these videos, which will give you the college virtual tour, the hostel virtual tour, and you can see the campus facilities. Further down are quick links for your placement and career options, the admission procedure, and the campus life. The right arrow that you see at the bottom here will always take you immediately to the top. When you are scrolling down, you will see a floating navigation bar at the top. If you are going to browse through your computer, this bar will appear in white color. If you are going to browse on the mobile, this bar will appear in black color. So this navigation bar, when you click here, will give you all the year-wise and semester-wise display where you can just go and click and have a look. The semesters which I mentioned here are also shortcuts, and you can directly click on the semesters here and go to the display work. So if I take you to first year semester 1, so we can see that the students who join the course of architecture, the life is very new for them here. The course of architecture is very new. The language of architecture is very new. The language of architecture is through its design. And the faculty here, the teachers, very gently try to introduce our students, the newcomers, to the language of architecture. This is done through explaining them various skills of visual arts, enhancing their graphic skills, making them understand the principles of art and aesthetic and design. And a lot of creative exercise are given to them. And the whole idea of interconnection of spaces and the principles of composition are taught to them through these various creative exercises. What you see here, the display here is few of such exercises where they have tried out different 3D and 2D compositions. These are all thumbnails, and once you click on any thumbnail, you can just browse left or right and look at the entire collection which is displayed here. When you proceed to the second semester, the college, the design philosophy or the way we approach design is we gradually start increasing the complexity of the design problem once you go from first semester upwards. And here, the method that we approach is from known to not so known, which means the places that the students have seen all their lives, which are very dear and near to them. Something like as simple as my home. Now, the students are taught to look at such spaces from a designer's point of view, from a user's perspective. Knowledge from other fields, other subjects, they are asked to integrate in whatever they are doing in their design studio, and they come up with solutions and they design their portfolios, and the portfolios will have integrated knowledge from other subjects as well. And the work from the second semester is displayed here. Similarly, with the progression in design complexity, once the students reach their 5th semester, that is the 3rd year, the complexity reaches such a level when they are exposed to the urban settings, where the social issues are tackled, where they design for masses, where housing issues are also discussed with them, and they come up with solutions for that. We also, the college as an institute also encourages a lot of guest lectures and workshops. We keep conducting such guest lectures and workshops, and eminent architects from the field of architecture visit our college, spend time with the students, conduct these workshops, and it is a tremendous gaining opportunity for our students where they interact with these eminent architects and they learn from them and they come up with some good work which you can see is being displayed here. Similarly, like I said, they are exposed to the social issues and the housing problems. The students of 5th year for this semester were asked to come up with solutions to revitalize an informal settlement, a slum in Nagpur. The students actually visited the place. They actually documented what they saw there. They understood the social, cultural, and economic problems. They did their study sheets, and then they come up with very good solutions to revitalize these slum areas. Experiential learning is again a very, very important aspect of our SMMCA education. The college conducts several study tours, both national and international. The students are encouraged to study and learn everything through the experiences that they gain out of these tours. And documentation is again a very important aspect of the study tours. Once they're visiting the sites, they document everything that they see there. Sometimes when they're at the site, and sometimes when they come back. Students come up with different ways of documenting their study tours. Some of the students who visited Goa came up with the idea to document the entire Goa study tour through caricature. They were inspired by the caricature of famous artist Mario Miranda. And this is how they decided to document their entire study tour for Goa. The output was so good that the college decided to publish the entire the entire collection of this caricature in the form of a book, Unfolding Goa. Similarly, students have visited and documented temples. They have visited and documented rural settings and traditional housing as well. Gradually, through their journey, the students reach their 5th year and the 10th semester, where they finally work on their thesis and their portfolios. Now, metaphorically speaking, this is exactly what Pradnya Darpan is. Whatever they assimilate in the 5 years of architecture, whatever knowledge they gain, they make it their own. They add something of their own to it, and then they radiate it back by adding something extra bit to it. This is how they have approached their thesis. This is a culmination of the entire journey of 5 years of architecture. They have made it their own. They choose a subject which is very close, very near to them, and this is how they come up with the final thesis sheets and portfolio. Some of the select few portfolios of the final year students have also been displayed here. Similarly, the work for masters in urban design and masters in architecture education is also displayed here. If you click on the SMMCA logo, it will take you back to the home page, and the link for the exhibition is also going to be texted in the chat box here. I request all of you to do visit the exhibition. We will also be mailing you the link with the feedback form. Do have a look at the exhibition. Do give us your honest feedback. If you have any doubt or query, the faculty will be more than happy to help you all. And with this, I hand over the platform to Abin sir, and I request him to start with his talk. And I am sure the audience is eagerly waiting to listen to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you share my screen?
So we can see your screen.
Yes, sir. It's shared.
Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me here. It's an honor to present to the institute, which is highly reputed across the country, and the professors, teachers are so passionate about the subject and the students. And so I'll try to figure it out through the presentations how basic journey of us and evolved through multiple formations with my passions, my personal life, and actually the professional life has been connected. So that's why I've given this presentation name is the pursuance of the soul in the cell. So I feel that every building, every subject, every object must have some kind of soul, and that is where that architecture as a process of crafting makes sense. And so it's a very important fact that why we talk about the ephemeral to perennial, because through my childhood, so I don't belong to a city of Calcutta. I came from an outskirts. It's like a semi-urban space, like a village, not exactly a village, but in the border, peri-urban areas. And so I'm born and brought up over there, and I still have my home. And when I've grown up, and I've observed that nobody really don't understand what architecture is. Nobody understand what architect as a profession is. So, so architecture for me is a kind of by chance. After class 12, all my family are from hardcore mathematics. They're professor, they're scientist. I'm the odd man out. And my father always actually inspiring me, go for your passion. And so one thing he always told me that whatever you do, you should be a good human being, and rest can be anything. So being is one of the finest mathematics professor, one of the country, um, a lot of books on mathematics. So I had a little bit of strong visions that in childhood I understood that I cannot reach my legacy of my father. So I thought that I should change my path. So that is one of the key decisions I have taken a very early stage, that that better I go by passion, and my family also supported that, and that is why the whole journey started. And the ephemeral and perennial is very important. Why I am talking about this introduction of my family is when I'm grown up, I've seen a lot of pandals, a lot of exhibitions, a lot of pavilions in my childhood spaces, and even in Calcutta, as a Bengal, Durga Puja is one of the finest festivals, and I've seen people are more passionate about the large exhibitions and the pavilions, the pandals, and the thousands and millions of people visited that. So I see that there is even some people understand engineers, people understand doctors, people don't understand architects, people don't understand what is architecture, and we are like alien. So uh, to express the idea of architecture, to express our idea of architects even today, it's sometimes difficult. But I thought that we are actually hero. We are a social hero. We learned in architecture almost everything, not only design. We learned economics, we learned accountancy, we learned crafts, we learned everything. So we have so much of tools that really powerful, which really can engage and change people's life. And that is the only reason that I feel that you cannot actually really blame someone. because unless otherwise you really initiate your process, initiate your journey, initiate people that what you can do it. So after practicing a few years, I start thinking that if it's we need to start and embedding the idea of architecture, let's be in my hometown. So for 11 years, I keep traveling every day 5 hours, like 2.5 hours every day from my hometown to city to do the practice. And that's just 3 years back. I've just shifted my home temporarily in my city just beside my office. But I have a very strong connect with my hometown, with my schools, with my school friends, and I'm deeply rooted with where I'm born. And I think if I have to give it to back to something, it has to be my hometown, where I'm born and brought up. So it decided that if there is an acupuncture through architecture, it is possible. It's possible in peri-urban economy, where I have understood the pre-primary school. I have gone through the primary school where in class 1 to class 4, the primary school that I have read, we don't have any rooms. So rain season means it's a holiday seasons. So we bring our suitcase with the aluminum box. We bring our mats with our own thing. It's like called patshala, and it is extraordinary fun. And today the government has sudden situation has changes. The school become so many classrooms and everything is completely changed. But somehow I feel that there is a big disconnect on the policy level. So we try to push even the policy level to the government, and you can only do that when you really can establish or you really can put something to the public and establish that architecture has a power that really change people's mind and really change something that it has a say. So the acupuncture in peri-urban is very important, and in the largest global south crisis, that so much of people are actually coming to the city for jobs and other things, and there is the boundaries which is village and peri-urbans and urban area is just diminishing, and the urban areas keep growing and growing and growing. So there is a kind of a demarcation, but the demarcation is very fast growing and diminishing in through the process of urbanizations. And the moment these urbanizations with unplanned way is happening, there'll be a lot of crisis. The crisis in social factor, cultural, economic, political, environmental, in many ways. So as a peri-urban, this is the kind of sample that I'm just showing you, is the kind of space that even my hometown is full of green. But these are the kind of situation in peri-urban. Nobody bothers about bylaws, nobody bothers about social understanding, the hygiene and other things. And being an architect, probably we should work on this kind of process with the government, with the panchayat and other places, along with the president. The architecture as a profession is not like that. It's not like doing only an interiors or a large villas or on the government projects. It is not about only satisfying or making money. It's also making the idea of how you really influence on larger populations and larger people at large, where you really can make a significant role as lead the whole society. And that is why the idea of our practice started. So in our presentations, I'll try to so we have a 40 minutes. I try to finish within 45 minutes. Probably I have to skip some of the projects with my presentations. But as a practicing in India, we have a different kind of case. So we do a lot of projects with the pro bono, with the process, with government, panchayat, and make things happening. We're trying to make places. We make corporate projects, we make institutional projects, we make projects for builder and change their mind. So there'll be in different cases that we handle our practices, and we practice across India. So Bajbiri and Adishatogram is my hometown, where I born and brought up. It's in 68 kilometers away from the city of Calcutta, and it is beside the Ganges, and it's just an edge of Kolkata metropolitan development areas. And in Bajbiri, there is a very important Hangsheshwari temple complex where the temple was there, the terracotta temple was there, which is a phenomenal. And this temple was 1480, and it is a very, very important historical building in our Bengal. And also there is a lot of festivity in this process. There'll be various puja, pandals, processions, band, football ground. There'll be a lot of activity. I'm grown up with all those things, and as a socially, as a culturally, as a public, you cannot detach those things. And when you are actually understanding those process, the process of understanding is very important and deep rooted, because you need to understand, you have to really help those peoples, you have to understand what they like, what they are brought up, what is the culture, what is the context. And that is why the whole idea of understanding has came from. And that is why I am very passionate about football. I run a football academy in my hometown, and it started with football connections with a social experience. And this is my academy students, which we train them with a football with a large playground. And in 2012 the society came to us and tried to figure it out what could be the kind of an pavilion that I can design for the festivity. And on that process the whole journey started, and this journey has actually impacted 10 projects, which for last almost 9 years we are working on these projects. And it will be honored to say that this project has been celebrated across the world, published. And this with this, the SEPT has had an exhibition on those 10 projects in their library designed by Rahul Mehrotra. And then they have agreed to publish a book on these 10 projects with the SEPT University, written by Kaiwan Mehta and also Harvard University. So this project I'm going to showcase to you today, and this is the kind of pandal which an idol happens in. And look at the idea of a million people who gathers on those kind of things. And it's triggered me, if I really can change a millions people mind, probably I can change the idea of architecture to embedded in their mind. So I took a kind of strategy that if I kind of design one pavilion or a pandal, and I can really inject the architecture and simple idea of the social understanding or sustainability in their thousand people's mind, I can really start pushing the idea of architecture everyone's mind. And that is why it's kind of ephemeral structure. And they came with the idea of pavilion, and we don't have a budget. It is only 84,000 rupees. So within 1300 bamboo poles, we have a 13 colors of painting. We just pole it. And you know why you have done this design? So we have designed so we don't have to hire any decorators. Any people can do that. And that is why the whole idea of temporarily pavilion has comes. And it has only things and when we are designing that, we cannot uh, purchase the LEDs, is very costly. So the idea came from a retroreflective vinyl. And this guy is one of the thinnest guy who chooses within 8 inches kind of a bamboo pole can go inside if the sticker is missing. So he's also from the club. And then the idea of the LED light become a retroreflective vinyl, which just glows in the daytime and nighttime, mostly nighttime. And the local people has been engaged to design this public pavilion. And what happened is in the night time it just glows. There is no electricity on this. It just reflected light from the top, and that become daytime. And what happened is those bamboos actually become a kind of barrier of the fencing of the playground, because that will save the lot of students, because on the rainy season a lot of cow enters in the playground and become a larger holes. So it's becoming an accident for the students. So we have used very interesting creative idea of colors and retroreflective vinyl, and then we use the bamboo as a fencing, which will be a kind of reusing the whole pavilion in such a way. And then this become a very important iconic pavilion. It has been published in Kemoma and other places. The government start asking about this, implementing those things in multiple level. It's become permanent in multiple city in our country. and it has been copied in various format of various people in some other ways, but it has really large impact with these peoples. And what it has done, this one single project of ephemeral structure, which is for 3 days, has changed a million people's mind. And they also change the influential mind, they change the community, they change the government, and it all's connected, is like web of reciprocal. And then it influences to the government, studios, the collaborators, and become a kind of a nexus of the greed of web greed, which has really impacted much more larger projects across that area. So it impacted the Adishaptagram Clubhouse, Bajbiriya Thakur, Bajbiriya Gallery House, which become a social center, another pavilion, 3-4 personal houses, which has always a kind of an intro, is a kind of an idea of craftsman, idea of involving local people, training, idea of generating economy has really makes sense to. So this is in Bajbiri and Adishaptagram. We plotted this project in such a way. So you can see the 10 projects, which is shown over here in a scale of like an 0 to 2000 meters. So as a project impact, the moment we grown up with the project from 2012 and 2020 is keep going on, if you see the left hand side, the more and more thousand and million people are being impacted. It is not impacting for the mind of what architecture can really make sense, and also it's generating economy, generating job creations, and also training. So it's become today, Bajbiri and Ajata become a hub of architectural tourism. And that is why the next level of understanding that we are taking care of, we're creating a website. So that website also talks about the historical buildings around this. Also, they can see, they explore the idea of building, that the craftsman that we have created, all those things, and become a trail of this, and people can stay over there and really study. Along with SEPT and other colleges has actually came with their students and staying there and making a number of projects with them. So as a situation that we not only design those projects for last 10 years, we start mapping those in various understanding of craft collaboration, construction complexity, contextual explorations, occupational enhancement, local initiative, social impact, everything. And it has been mapped with multiple layers, with the people, patron encouragement, government interventions, need for fund generation. In some of the projects that we actually become a catalyst of actually generating fund and helping people, also getting fund from the clients, asking vendor to support all those things, and it's becoming making a place, which is a productive collision between a practice and a community. And this is a very interesting graphics that has been done by our office, which has been selected this year, architects in New York, the best 100 illustrative drawings in the world. So this talk about all mapping of Bajbiri and Adishaptagram, and we placed all our projects for last 10 years of journey. So after this pavilion, we got this project called Pool House, and it's all about the labor of love, and it's really impacted the idea of intricacy, idea of love of labor, because the client become a kind of a very generous person who really love the labors. And also we try to figure it out how the one by one, like a 3 connections, the building this right now, which is right now here, is a connection between the existing buildings, the gazebo, and one of the guest house that we have designed. And it's really crafting the each building and a stone or wood or whatever it is. The identifying built and unbuilt spaces as a zoning is like the existing building, and then we actually connected 4 attachment to this building, and this become an idea of this whole spaces. And that is a gazebo that had been done with an exposed concrete and crafted wood by locally available and local craftsmanship. And the idea of privacy and porosity is important for there. So we need to create a kind of louver or shutters, which give you a kind of idea which is already there. So we just introduce our idea in terms of how to contemporize the idea of shutter, idea of louver with the ventilations and also the privacy. So if you see the sections on details through a louvered walkway, my client want to come from the first floor and he doesn't want to seen by some from the roadside. So we created the louver in such a way, but he can see that. So in that way, we created shutters, but the corner has been open because there will be a very interesting banyan tree on the corner. The crafting of the shutter has been designed with the glass and also from the shutters in various and other areas. So this is a basic plan that and that's the whole building as a structure had been completed in 5 years back. This is a gazebo, and the right hand side is the existing building over here, and this is the gazebo, and this is the guest house, and the lawn is connected with 3 buildings. And this is a recent picture. I've been to the site recently with one of my clients, and it become more beautiful actually, and brings light inside, which is fascinating. It brings light from the outside with the louvers, and it has a purely and kind of give you an privacy, but light filters inside. But this project we encountered with an idea of an people of local people who can really does an absolutely craftsman, and that become a starting of a workshop. That it's become an kind of idea of discovery of talent, expansions, and inspired ideas, setting up a workshop and commercial viability. Also, like nurturing talent over there and the mutual growth. Because today the workshop has a 50 people, and with the workshop, because we make the workshop as an extension of a studio where we do 1:1 scale model. We can do furniture design, we can do any metal work, everything. And not only that, we are surviving and then kind of a mutually beneficial for them and us. It is also these people has a lot of job. This family is surviving with this our workshops, and we're expanding the workshops in a multifold. And in that way, the whole community, whole idea of job creation has been created with this kind of one projects, and they become a part of our studio, and it's the studio become and the kind of idea of expansion. So when we have started, this is the workshop, and if you see that within the workshop growth within 2015 to 2019, we become so many projects, and continuously the people are the growth is happening exponentially, and the way the workshop is expanding, the lot of people are getting generations, get a lot of people getting jobs over there, and that become a kind of an idea of architecture, idea of responsibility of architects. And it is also people start understanding what architects can do, the power of architecture, the power of architects can do, and that has become the one of the finest understanding of it is not about design, it's not about that, it's also responsibility. People start respecting you. That's become one of the most important idea of being acupuncture in your peri-urban academy. It can be acupuncture in any places, but it has to be some kind of value addition to the people. Uh, so the idea of the expansion of the workshop has become now very interesting. So I'm not going to express too much because it become this is my workshop, new workshop is happening, going to complete next 2 months, and this is a rendering, and this is a under construction picture. It's been taken 15 days back. Right now it's become much more very interesting shapes, but I could not take those pictures in the PPT. But this workshop is right now 10,000, and what is happening is this within this workshop, so we have taken few land, and then land become a kind of a generation of food and also crops and everything. So this will be feeding our people over there, feeding also people our canteen of office for our community kitchens, and that become a kind of self-sustainable kind of theory, which right now working on this process of idea. So what is happening is that's the kind of workshop that we are talking about, which is a lot of interesting idea of ventilations and light and other things, and that become a very important understanding of our intervention in this area. So within this process, we have designed a pavilion of canopies. You must be seeing in multiple social medias, as Delhi, Design Boom, and many media has been covered. It is also kind of respecting the local tribal culture, and also 50-year celebration of the tribal community over there, where the government has actually local municipality has requested us to create a kind of pavilion. So we thought that it is a kind of tribute to the tribal people because they go to the deity with a deep forest, and we create the forest with a very contemporized way of the tree, with a simple fabric cutting in a very different way. So that's a model picture, and how you can go through this journey with the fabrics and light filters to it. It's a very simple idea of structure with the bamboo with the rings, and the fabric has been set hanging from there. It's an absolutely beautiful way that how parametric cut those things and become one single form, and each one has been really demarcated, and how we cut those each one. And the light filters from this is a model that we have created before constructions and tested is reverse pictures, and that's a model. And when we are designing, so we could not find a decorator, so this is the people of our studio who actually making this pandal. So we as a studio, all the people has made this pavilion with those help of few who can make the bamboos, and rest of the things, cutting, hanging, everything is done by us. And that become a very important factor of our journey. So that is one of the charger. So that become one of the key factor of our things. And light filter from there. These are daytime pictures, and that's night time. It's a firefly, so we put an LED on LED on the grass, so people can understand the idea of journey in that way. So we can actually created this path. So it is dimmable LED with 3,000 rupees. We bought 5,000 LEDs. And so every idea when we actually designed, we try to incorporate how it could be a really relatively interesting in our context of our journey. So that similar kind of installation that we have done in Sept University when our exhibition has been opened in library. So that's you can see that. And the House of Sleeping Shadow also in kind of we call it Full Metal Jacket. So it is an idea of an intervention. So the client came and with the existing building, and he doesn't want to break because his father has made it, and we want to break this. And he said that no, this is sentimental value, but I need an expansion of living room, guest rooms, living. So what we have done is okay, to make sure that his sentimental value. So we try to crafting this whole building and creating a stitching of steel, keeping the existing building as it is, and making a one facade wrap and creating those spaces. And that becomes, so if you see the left hand side, the black and white picture, this is a building. Then we start crafting this building over here with a metal structure, and then making wrapping over there and completing. And this is how the structure has been made. And the whole thing, the whole structural design detail has been done fully in studio. It's not any structural engineer, everything done in studio. And so we created multiple punctures, rural windows, which is the metal sheets, and inserted with these spaces. So that become the final building. So if you see the white building, which is the existing building, and we wrapped that building without breaking this, we created this whole projects. And so after 2 years of this, so the idea of green, which is actually we are talking about, it become and kind of very interesting. It's keep growing up in that way. And so if you see that this building left hand side, it was earlier and later it is happening. So the outside, the creepers still growing, and we want this building to be fully green. And from inside, the light filters and with the green creepers, it's really amazing right now. So we create also a gazebo from them with a completely neat cement, typical sections, and that is why we call it a housing of shooting shadows. If you see the shadows, it's really amazing because south sun moves through over here, and it's really filters through this area. Light keep changing all over the time. Then a wall house, it's becoming a kind of idea of intervention of one of the building, which is this one, and this is the colony area, which is a large, dense urban population area. So earlier the building was in absolutely on corner, and when this owner came to me and want to make an building, I said that it has a very accident prone zones, you have to leave that spaces, but he wanted a large house, large boundary wall, and also building large houses. So I said that I will create a boundary wall in such a way that it give you privacy. Also, you need to leave those spaces for the people, because it will really helpful for the people, and we can reduce the accident. And that is why the whole idea of the plot boundary has been shifted in such a way that it will be an, so he is looking for this, but we pushed it like that. So what happened is today there is no kind of accident happened because of the corner, because in a panchayat and municipality nobody follows those, but in a responsible architects we must do something which is good for the people. And if we can't really convince, and then we should not do that projects. And that is why the whole idea of architecture starts, whole idea of our professional responsibility starts. And that is why the freeing of the corner is important. Kind took 6 months. I said that you decide fast and then come to me, because it's important. And the building right now placed on a very dense urban fabric, which is a 1-story, 2-story building. And what is happening is becoming cotton stool. So people will be coming over here. It's turning very nicely. They can see who is coming from here. There will be no accident after this making this building. And what is happening is the wall become a kind of a privacy, and the punctures become, and they're in porosity from nobody from outside can see it, but from inside they can see outside. So that become the building, that this building become the house of the year 2020 by Habituous magazine, which they select 10 buildings across South Asia by the 22 countries. So it published from Australia, and this is the building plans. I'm not going to elaborate too much on this. So I captured these pictures in the early morning, and to capture the life of where I belong. So this is in the morning, and the another narrow lane took this picture. So that's the sections. So it has very interesting spaces inside, and addressing the human scale, we created those massing. So that's the building which has entry over here, and all glazings, and what you see is all crafted metal, wood, nothing has been bought. So it has been made over there, and that is why the whole idea of understanding came. And this is the structural glazing that has been designed with the steel and wood, everything done in workshops, and it is absolutely perfect. And it has an openings, it has a shutters, and it really interact with each other. The staircase has a very thin 4 mm plate folded, which has been made by us. The picture is taken brilliantly by Edmund Sumner from UK, and that is an inside courtyard. The water body right now, the full of fish, and over there. So inside, every furniture has been designed, and artwork has been designed by us. These are antique pieces. Again, a small gym and entry to the lounge, which has also crafted very nicely. The staircase has been done with an again an IPS net cementing. Even if you see that structure, the metal frame has been inserted over there, and the wood wrapping, the stability is there, and then we crafted those whole things. The waterfront clubhouse is also a kind of a very powerful. So this is the purely a village, and that's a football field, and the site is situated here. All the people in the West Bengal, a lot of club has got a kind of idea of 2 lakhs rupees and kind of an help from the government to nurture their facilities of club and gymnasiums and all those things. So they requested us if you can help me to create a gallery and also a gymnasium, also a clubhouse. So either 2 lakhs rupees, nothing can do. So they asked us if we can help them. So we requested my client, we requested few people we know that. We requested a kind of a design and a kind of a bill that they can go to the every public, even 10 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees. So we try to create a generate that the idea of a community place comes from everybody's participations. And then we actually gathered 18 lakhs rupees. And so here we become a catalyst, we become maintenance guy, we become designer, we become executor, we become fundraisers, we become almost an idea of the Jubin Mehta orchestra. So like so we are controlling everything. So what is happening is this building has been situated in the corner in such a way that the building on top, the gallery has to be orient in such a way that they can see the whole the playground, and the steps is there, and the orientations of the place, that is the only place that we can do that club arena. And that is why we have done, and this is the Panchayat road. So we not only design, because most of the people do cleaning, bathing over here. So we thought that when we are developing these places, we should develop this also, because it's very nearby. So it's become a center of the village community, and it's become a kind of a piece where suddenly the revitalize the whole space of understanding. What happened is, so if you see the village for whole these things, this become their really a kind of a place. And this is the football ground where athletics and football has been placed, and that's the Panchayat road, that's a ghat. And if you see the ghat over here, and in the morning time there'll be a yoga is happening. And so what is happening is the grant received 2 lakhs, and all 18 lakhs has been ADS associates, ADS vendors, public funding raising, and how the community initiative has started growing. And today this place become littered by some of the other people, has really become right now the center of their places. And they the night time, and that from the tree they put a light. The athletics can run till 9 o'clock. So earlier, because of the dense dark, a lot of anti-social activity was happening. Now because of the light, because of the club, nothing is happening. A lot of people comes after 6 o'clock over there, and that's become and their place to rejuvenate, and that's become the most interesting part of our life. And what impact is that when it is completed and people start taking care of it. And this is football where this is happening. And if you see that when the football is happening, and the children are playing, and it is becoming kind of a community space over there. And it is very important for us to to take the joy of idea of like 3 years pain of creating funds and making those things happen. And so if you see that who understand architecture, who understand architects, but I'll tell you, the villagers understand what is architects. Villagers understand today what architecture has a power, and that is the joy, and that is what we really looking for it. And this is what we have made a grill, and because the football comes, it doesn't break the glass, so it is a fully ventilated. And when anybody comes from inaugurations or any kind of football match, they can see from there. So that's some kind of view, yoga time, and sections, morning time, club, and the inaugurations when happened, and this people start taking care of it. And the inauguration day, and the most important part is they asked us to inaugurate this building, and it is saying Saptogram Coaching Club, inaugurated by 15th August 2019, architect Abin Design Studio. And that's the biggest certificate that we have received from there. So the society hall also in kind of an intervention. So society is in kind of project which funded by Panchayat, but for 3 years some political reason it was not happening. So they came to us. So we said that okay, we are not changing the design. They have a completely different design. So keeping the budget intact, keeping the BOQ intact, we change the design and make sure that we do the same footprint, same column. We can make those building intact, and so that's a building which has been sanctioned. And when we design the building, it is like that, and is really painful that without changing BOQ, without changing quantity, you keep the BOQ as it is, but change the building design completely. And that is really pain. Our team for 2.5 years is still not completed, but we're still struggling. And it's such a pain to working with engineers, contractors, all those things in a village and panchayat to make sure the project is happen. And I still believe that we can really make those projects really perfect. So here also Narantola and Thakur Dalan is also a kind of idea of place of goddess, and that is also a community place that we have done. And over here there is a kind of an before and after idea of sentiment. So it was an old, a small goddess of Durga Puja, which occasionally comes, otherwise it's a community place. And so when we have changed, it's become a bit of a sentimental issue. But eventually what happened is, eventually people start really loving on it. A lot of young people start loving on it, and that's become a community place for them, a worship place for them. And it came from purely in memory of divinity, where one single box cut out and a simple idea of a and then extract from there. Why? Because we don't want to really make any column on this side, because a lot of people go through over here. That's a main road with a cycle to catch the train, and they otherwise what happened, earlier design will be a column over here. They have to go down and then take a bow down their head, and then again take that cycle. So what is happening is that become a kind of an idea of a kind of an and the design fault. So when we design, what it designed is, they try to actually yeah, we try to figure it out how to reduce this. And we come out in the idea of the place of openings. And so there is a lot of puja is happening, then the spillover of the people will come on the road. So it will be a very spiritual place on that places. So in September issue, Wallpaper magazine in London has actually published this with a video of Edmund, which has been actually greatly appreciated across the globe. So this become the opening of the place, and that become all filled up with an exposed concrete panels, and which has been done in our workshops. And each panel has been devised, and we did all the ply box, and we make precast, and all the precast has been set as to align to see, check if it's fitting on it. So it has been done. So the guy who has actually made those laborer contractors have been done only experience to do an panchayat drain. He doesn't have anything idea. So it's the idea of training them to use the local people, local material, local craftsmen, and make sure the public participations was there. And that's a very few simple sections, which is the simplest building that we have created all those box, and that's a precast panels, and that we are making this projects, and that's a view. It has been done. And if you see the detail of this, the whole thing can open, so the spillover of the people on the puja time comes, and the idea of space you can understand. So the old lady keep pouring water in the early morning, and this bench that we have designed, some people doesn't have a probably an AC on the summer. So early morning, the morning will be nice on outside. So he is sleeping outside. So it's a duality of space which is have created, and people start taking over that space. That soul is established on the scale. So that is the whole idea of architecture. And in that way, we start actually putting our idea of architecture responsibility in those spaces. And that's some of the pictures in the evening time. So that's a before, and that's after. So gallery house is also a kind of culturally social space, and we have really observed that places become a kind of an idea of processions, and people start. And this is a terracotta temple, one of the finest temple in our vicinity and in our localities. We try to tribute the idea of terracotta in our complex. So we collaborated with the artist of ceramic, and then start collaborating with this project. And that is the kind of common displays that we developed for this artist of Tungraman. So it's become coaching center, the idea place that we can be rented out to the people for birthdays and for functions. And what is happening is this become a kind of a tribute to the idea of terracotta. So idea of that kind of projects is I just keep that, it's in little bad resolutions. Expression of mass identity of the built form is happen in that way. We try to create a kind of punctures, and the punctures is also kind of steps, because the steps become and public steps. So people, there'll be no boundary wall. People can sit there. There'll be a lot of processions, band keep going through all over the time of the years. So they can sit over there, and that is why. So you see that when it is under construction and there is a procession ongoing, we captured this picture with our camera, where people start taking over the spaces. So that is the whole idea. So even this building is not completed, the people start taking over those places, and that's the idea of the place. This is the drawings that so each detail, so almost inch by inch, every 1 feet that we have given details and 1 feet of elevations. So nothing has been left to the craftsman, and it has been meticulous effort to make those things. So Partho Dasgupta is one of the finest ceramic artists that we have collaborated with these projects, and each and element, 216 pieces of brick and ceramic has been made inside to make sure this has been actually used over there. And it has been a kind of a workshop for the last 4.5 years that we are working in this project, and each element has been designed on this on site and crafted. Make sure that we have done, we cutted the brick to receive the slabs, and it's a joy. So for probably last 10 years, all my Sundays has been spent day and night over here, and we completed these projects recently. So after completion of this, people start taking over the estates on top, various brick size that give ventilations, nighttime, in model, in the brick details, openings, inside, opening of that, how it's camouflaged with overall fabric of spaces, the corner place in the night time and the daytime. So I'll quickly, we don't have much time left, so I'll quickly go through the institutional projects in Bhubaneswar that we have done a long time back. It is an 4 lakh square feet of development where institutional picture has been, institutional project has been done. So it has a lot of passive design strategy. So it reduces huge energy because Bhubaneswar is a very hot, humid area. So we try to create and how the passive design strategy can really save the energy of that building. So this is an water which is created evaporative cooling over here. It's a kund. It is purely made with laterite, and when we are making this the projects, and that's become final projects. It's in quite earlier project that we have designed. So we work deeply within master craftsmen of that local people, how they use laterite and crafts over here, and this is purely a kind of a long time picture back, and this is the recent picture that I have went there 1 year back, and I took that picture. So it's almost 9 years now. Training center also a kind of idea of interventions. So when the bank came out the idea of creating and building on the nursery, so we try to figure it out. How come the existing nursery can be kept? So we shifted the nursery on rooftop. So the idea of also it in Shantiniketan. So what we have done is Shantiniketan has a very organic planning of experiential and associative perceptions. So it'll be in kind of a walking through. We put the buildings in such a way that people can going through within these spaces, and that's the idea of this place. And if you see that because of the south area, we try to make all those building on solid surface. So there'll be no kind of much porosity over there, and within the large earth bomb behind that will be a lot of interesting green code where the classrooms can connect. So this is the whole idea of the place, and the idea of bringing all together of the nursery on top is the holistic idea of keeping the people who is working for nursery, they don't get the jobless, and they should actually be reappointed. So what is happening is now this building will be almost nearing completions. So this is the illustrations, and that was a nursery. If you see the Bengali, it's called nursery. So and is written Bandhan Bank. Bandhan Bank is one of the biggest bank in Bengal. So what we actually try to figure it out, because a lot of tribal local craftsman is available inside, and Bandhan is a microfinance company. They give people lending money. So we try to actually utilize all their customers who are the craftsmen in this particular projects, and to involve one kind of idea of understanding. So that's a building that we have thought about it to make it, and this building is happening in full-fledged. So is the idea that we are making it really nicely. And this is a picture from the tribal I took nearby on the site, and I thought that this is a juxtaposition of idea of space and void of a curiosity that should be a fun of the institutional projects, and that is why the puncture has been taking care of the ventilations, also the kind of idea of inside and outside. So this is the view. It's exactly happening like this. Inside courtyard, which is right now happening, is under construction pictures. Sections, details of all those areas. Law University, Nagpur. So I visited multiple times in Nagpur because we have been shortlisted for these competitions, and also we are a top 3 in this particular submissions. Maharashtra Law University, which has been designed in a completely different way, because I'm not explaining a large master plan. It's a 36-acre land, and what is the fundamental idea of the space is we try to create a vertical gurukul. It's not an horizontal gurukul. We try to minimize the ground coverage and bring the building on top. So what is happening is, I just explained the so this become my institutional projects, institutional functions, and then become buffer like activities, sports, and other things. And then the hostel comes over here majorly. So what is happening is, so the idea of not taking too much on the ground, they become more green, more forest. That become an idea of the whole idea of the vertical gurukul, and that's become a little bit of ditch. So we try to create an bund and creating an vegetations and water, all those three gone through it. So that is the whole idea of spaces, and that's a hostel which is terracing down to the ground. So you really can't find it, and this is actually sitting on top of the institutional projects, and that's the whole idea. So if you see the sections, so this is the institutional projects or the functions, and then the gap, which is an activity of sports facilities and other things, which is a buffer, and then the hostel facilities has been taken care of. So the day by day land become less, day by day the green become unprecious. So we need to nurture the green rather than not taking too much of green area. We try to create those vertical gurukul. So these are the renders that we have done. That's a master plan. Again, always Mumbai and Maharashtra, Nagpur, Pune, Nasik is my favorite places. So this is, we have designed again finalist on this competition, Satara building, and that's Satara Municipal Corporation building. So the whole idea of the cladding is to create a kind of an idea of strata which available in Satara, and on that basis we created those kind of cladding, and it becomes a kind of brownish. So that's the strata that we found out, and that's the whole idea, and all naturally ventilated. The rain can come over here. There will be a lot of plantations has been taken care of, and that is the whole idea. And if you see the sections, we have one basement, and the public activity is happening over here, and the most of the municipal functions. over there. The public is limited over here, and that's the whole idea. And this is the building, and that is in set on Satara's overall landscape. Lodha ka Pallava, because you are in Maharashtra, I end with the projects, and because we don't have time. And this building has actually come with a vada. So basically, the idea of Maharashtra is the vada concept is the idea of the club, which is purely and kind of in most activity area, swimming pool, another thing with a corridor kind of thing. And most of the function we placed over here. And it has been actually functions like this, and that's a kind of courtyard which all the places has been kind of, and also we have multiple punctures which is connected to the multiple places, so it is kind of visibility, parents, children's and service entry all there, and that's a view from the outside. So we used exposed concrete and aluminum frame with wood and cotton steel and grid plaster. That's a building inside. Entrance, so it's purely and kind of naturally ventilated. So from auditorium, there auditorium, it's coming out, and from behind be a lot of punctures which connect to the rest of the areas. And inside spaces, so inside is all absolutely naturally ventilated, so the green and the furniture and everything has been placed in such a way that will be filtered of light. These are the concrete panel which is used as filter of light and ventilation, and also for sitting arrangement of the places and the people. Bench with the concrete, and we captured these pictures, which is the idea of the whole spaces. So so I end with this here, and there'll be a lot more to show. I think next time we can show those rest of the projects. I think I've taken too much of time, and we have multiple level of pavilion designs, product designs, also corporate office interiors. So we can explain in next and another day we find time. So thank you so much for this, and the whole idea I try to sum up in this places is the idea of practice of idea of architecture, as I said, that we are never been unafraid of unfamiliar things. So it's not about an exploration of material or journey. It's all about the idea of process. Like in a country like India, the architecture is not easy, but you need to really you need to understand you are a social hero. You are a hero, and through architecture has so much of tools that through this you really can win the world. And if you can't believe it, you can make it. And that is my submission, and that is the only thing we are trying for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Your dedication of giving back to your town, adopting sustainable practices, and involving local artisans in your work is really commendable. Your passion for architecture is reflected in your all projects. Once again, I thank you for the amazing presentation. Now I open the forum for question answer session. The first question is, sir, how do you convince the clients to do things your way? How do you make them understand your ideas and the concept?
So it takes a long time. It is not easy, but there is a very deep convictions from our side. We try to understand what they need, and we try to really understand what they understand wrong, what they understand, and we try to actually teach them, uh, give them examples, give them ideas that what is the process of right things for him. Now, if you go to a doctor and if you come with a lot of suggestions, doctor doesn't take, because doctor should have give you the right suggestion, right medicine, right advice. So for us, and we make right suggestions and right things. And in I'm not sure you have heard about Kathamrita. Kathamrita is one of the finest book of Sri Ramakrishna Mission, Sri Ramakrishna Dev, and where he's talk about what is the difference between a good doctor and a best doctor. The good doctor is give you the right advice, and best doctor is he makes sure that you take that medicine, even he has to grab your throat. Okay, and I choose the path of the best doctors. If client doesn't understand, I make sure with my various tools and strategy that he cannot escape the idea of good. So that is the whole idea of making each projects happen.
Yes, very nice. Then second question is, who has been your inspiration over the years of practice?
I think so many people is difficult to. So it's a long list. It's a long list. I keep inspired by so many peoples. I really inspired by, of course, the Japanese architects. I really inspired by Latin American architects. The idea of Colombia and Alejandro Akivira, Alejandro Aravina, Smiljan Brajic, Tada Andu, Glenn Market. I have been very blessed with part of the Glenn Market masterclass for 15 days in Sydney, and I have understood the idea of crafts. Building building is like crafting. Okay, the idea of that has came from him. So I have so many. And of course, my great inspiration always come from my father, who is not no more right now, but his inspiration is completely different level. He talks about idea of being human and being honest on convictions on your process. So that's important.
So you see that your father is mathematician. So
Yeah.
one of my colleagues, Dr. Sampada Peshwe, she is asking, it is interesting to see that you have a family background of mathematics. So does mathematics find a place in your design process?
Yeah, of course, very much, because uh, uh, I'm not a great math, but I'm not only my father, my whole family is uh, all mathematicians. So the idea of math calculations, the process, each one, the millimeter, and how when we design the pavilion canopies. Right now we are working for some other projects where it's all about the mathematics to create a kind of software that develop the Rhino and other things, which is really a kind of mathematical understanding. And it's a really and process driven. So very much involved mathematics. Yeah.
The next question is, how does the vision leads to precise selection of material?
So the material of selections is also about an idea of context, idea of availability, idea of clients, clients power, if he can take it or not, or what is the kind of maintenance. So a lot of parameters has been set, and what is a good for the maintenance, because we believe that when we are describing or specifying some material, it is not it was for 1 year. I have to leave this material or the building with 30 years, 20 years, and the selection of material comes from that. Also, of course the climate, which is very vital.
So in many of your buildings, you have done lot of experimentation on materials, and each time it looks different. So it is always you try to use different materials as it is related to the context, or you are more fond of experimenting with different type of materials.
No, I think it's important that I always try to become and more contextual and explore on that kind of parameters, and the material as a secondary, and take care the rest of the things. So it's more about context, functions, and other things.
Next question is, how was the old existing structure linked to the modern new one in the second project which you have shown?
Like the metal jacket.
Yeah.
So old project mean it is not a heritage project. The old project has been done by 1 year back. So so this project has been actually made by an masons, and in the village, so mason become architects today, and they create an card. They created an kind of an different kind of an architectural ornamentations. So it is looks like an old project. Is like a 1 year old project, but his father has been done, and that is that part is no more contextual to the time, and this is an absolutely no referral point of architecture of Bajperia or understanding. It needs to be contemporized. So, and it is not done by 100 years old within a lot of other materials and other things. So so we want to break that building. He didn't allow, so he makes sure that our idea takes care.
Right. Okay. Next question is, how do you address to bylaws at small site at the same time making the project dynamic?
So bylaws is very important. Bylaws need to be taken care of, and you know, also in panchayat level there is a flexibility of little bit of things. So you leave some more spaces somewhere or but basic idea of flexibility, and also the bylaws has to be taken care of. But it doesn't mean that all the projects that we have taken care of in Lodha and other places, everything as per bylaws. So the bylaws cannot really force you to change your design. So all the projects which is happening is not a kind of a project like villa on a hilltop or a sea beach, but the idea of project of architecture is all here where it touches the reality.
Next question is, according to you, how to visualize our concept as an architectural idea?
I didn't understand the question.
According to 1 minute. The student want to ask how you how you manifest your concept or the idea into actual the project.
Okay. Okay. So I'll tell you in a, it's my personal opinion though. In a country like India, it's not about the our responsibility finish that you have done or given 100% perfect drawings. I believe that is only a 30%. Okay. The 70% lies on how you make sure those drawings to be implemented on site. And a lot of blood goes with this. Today, you find that client somehow come with some different kind of labor contractor who doesn't understand anything, but you cannot really leave that project over there. So you cannot say that I have done my job, now if it's gone wrong, it's not. No, the responsibility in our country of being architecture to be perfect, you have to build perfectly. Whether you draw perfectly doesn't matter. The end of the day, that you have to live with the projects. End of the day, you don't have to live with the drawings. You have to live with the project. The project has to be perfect, and for that matter, you take whatever strategy, doesn't matter, and I take whatever strategy, doesn't matter.
Okay. Next is, according to you, what is what is more important, whether the aesthetics or functionality?
Both.
Both. So there are so many questions, but we will curtail the questions. Now I want to ask you one question. What according to you is responsible architecture?
I think the responsible architecture is in multiple layers. It's all about sustainability, all about how you responding the climate. What about you are saving money? What about you are respecting the culture, context, the spaces? What about the idea of responding the functions of the users. And so the responsibility also changes when you're doing a public projects, when you're doing a private projects, when you do a corporate projects, and there'll be multiple layers. So the responsibility is in multiple layers, and it's all about responsibility only. The architecture, it's all about responsibility.
Yes.
And it is not a painting that today you pick the painting and you keep that in living room or kitchen, doesn't matter, but it is also related to your life. So you have to be super responsible. You are in OT and operating in heart operations. So architecture for me like this. So you cannot leave the responsibility at all in any kind of respect.
Right. One last question. I think this will be important from the student point of view. How do you start working on any project? Is there any particular procedure that you follow before starting any construction?
Yeah, for any project, the brief that we receive, we try to understand the site. We try to brief the site. We understand the physics, chemistry, math of the site. We try to really stay on the site to understand how the site's mechanics works, and that is important. And the materiality, what is the powerful, what is the from the site you get, and that is a kind of idea. And then we start brainstorming about the brief and understanding what is the brief is talk about. We challenge the brief. Is that a required? It is a necessary. And then we figure it out. This is the brief. It is mandatory, and this is the thing that we can really change. And then start developing the process. Then creating a model, ideas, brainstorming, and then the idea of the best, like the fittest idea can survive, and start developing the process of idea model and constructability. Who will make those things? Idea of materiality, idea of spaces, idea of time. So all those layers has been cross-checked, and then we go to the construction.
Acha, one student is insisting to ask this question. Do you think that the pandemic will bring changes in architecture? If yes, what changes do you think we need to bring as architects in our buildings?
So it's a very elaborative question. I cannot give him or give her a kind of a one single answer. There'll be a lot of changes, of course. There'll be changes in housing sector. The housing sector plan has become changes. I think one thing, good thing, I think people will remember that unless otherwise you really respect the nature, you will be facing the worst situations. I think that is one thing we must understand. And if we are responsible enough and we start respecting the nature more, and that is our being an architect, we take the lead and showcase the people how it has to be nurtured. And I think the we are too fast. We doesn't bother about nature. It doesn't bother about cutting the trees. So I think that is it is a pause and showcasing the pandemic, showcasing that you are in a borderline. If you cross, you'll be die. So better you alert. And architecture should be taken care of in that kind of format, that architecture will be a super responsible kind of an subject, and you cannot leave that open to whatever is happening. It's not every glossy building is a fantastic building. People should understand that.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. I think the all this whatever the doubts the student have, they might have get the answers to their questions. Then before conclude the session, I would like to make one announcement that we are starting a workshop series Rubaru from tomorrow. It is for the students in the age of group 14 to 18 years. The workshop would have a fun-filled activities like model making, photography, world of architecture, history of architecture, etc. We are still accepting the registration, and those of you who are interested can register through the link which we will be sending you shortly. Okay. So before we conclude, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all those who have helped in organizing this webinar. I thank all the honorable members of our management, Women's Education Society, for their continuous and strong support. Our Director and Secretary of Women's Education Society, Dr. Shamla Nair, Madam, who has always been a great support to us. Thank you, Madam. I would like to thank architect Abin Choudhary, who has taken valuable time from his busy schedule to share work with us. I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Ujjwala Chakradev, for her guidance and support in organizing this program. I would like to thank architect Vaijanti Yadav and architect Sneha Mandekar for efforts taken by them for organizing this webinar and for technical support. I would like to thank press for giving coverage in local newspaper. I would also like to thank all my colleagues and friends who helped me a lot in organizing this webinar. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us a very insightful presentation and the question answer session. Really, really thank you once again. And we will definitely call you for our design project because we are also working on the theme which is given by our Prime Minister Atmanirbhar. So we have taken the 2 to 3 villages and we are trying to make interventions in that village. And all from the second year to fourth year, they will be working on all the 3 villages. And as per the complexity of the year, they are going to have the interventions. So we will definitely like to call you once again for our design project so that we will get your valuable guidance in there. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, can I display the DTE website link?
Yes, you can.
Thank you all.